we're still at ITSM17. I am in the presence of ITSM greatness here. The very famous Mr. David Wheeldon.
Nice to be here. Nice to be anywhere, actually.
Nice to be anywhere. Well, we're all still hanging in there. Delighted to see you here. Haven't seen you here for a while.
9 years since I came. Living quietly in Norfolk, comfortably, bringing up my grandkids, playing golf and riding my motorcycles. I still do a little bit of assessing and examining and question setting for Axelos and for APMG. But apart from that, that's just to keep in touch. I'm actually in a slow decline in retirement.
Just from the outside, I don't know how much or often you tune into what we're doing.
Quite a lot.
What's your headline perspective on where we are as an industry at the moment?
It's impossible not to stay involved with IT service management because it touches everything in your life. Even if, like me, you try to be retired, you know. If I was a muggle, I could just live my life without it touching me. But as I'm an ITSMF wizard, I can't help but look behind the processes that are going on in an organisation. So when if you book a train ticket or if you pay for a holiday or any sort of transaction, you're condemned to looking behind what's going on and observing the processes and trying to, comment in your own mind. And, much as you'd like to think that we've solved everything by introducing ITIL and service management, we haven't actually. And it's mostly down, I've observed, to people not following the process. We might have a process, but people don't do their job that they're paid to do. And that's very, very frustrating for me sometimes. So organisations need to address that.
What's your perspective on things like the, digital and DevOps and all those kind of things? Do you have much of a view on what they are or what value they bring?
DevOps is brilliant, and people don't realise the history of it actually, because 40 years ago when I joined the IT world, there was a deliberate split between development and operations. When people first introduced computers, people were paranoid about collusion between these two groups. And so they were separated deliberately in the organisational structure. And it was always like that. And that fracture has never really been mended. So DevOps, yeah, brilliant. It's builds on top of, ITIL at version 3 did start to address that. But DevOps builds on that, and that's to be applauded. I'm hoping that the new version of ITIL, whenever it comes out, is going to go further on that, because it needs to happen.
Would you, if you were standing looking at or advising on, what should be in the next version of ITIL, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you would think should be an improvement?
Cybersecurity, a lot more. It's it's frightening what could happen, and there's been a reluctance maybe to address that centrally because there's other things that address it, but it needs a lot more. It needs a lot more on cybersecurity. And I think the way that people live their lives now has changed completely, even in the last 10 years. Philip Hammond said yesterday there was no unemployed in this country. Well, there's 1.4 million still unemployed, but there is also several million that used to be in good full-time jobs who are now actually working out on a limb for themselves in some sort of shape or form. The Uber driver, the delivery guy from Amazon now, or something like that. These people operate in a completely different... The gig economy, yeah, exactly. And the gig economy is actually now the main economy for, in many ways. And that needs to be reflected. The way that people work now needs to be reflected more in ITIL, I think. Recognising that people need support. was very interested in the chap from Manchester University. He was talking about using IT as a way of addressing social care, loneliness, practical help for elderly people. I've sort of half jokingly written on the board over there about what we're going to do about the fact that people are living longer. They're going to be, actually they're not going to die in another 25 years of natural causes. We're going to be able to reverse the ageing process. These are true. Work done at the John Innes Institute on gene technology. These things are going to happen. Where are we all going to live? We're going to need to colonise the rest of the planet. These are big issues. I'm saying that.
Putting money into trying to colonise Mars.
We need to. Yeah, we need somewhere to live. Yeah, because we're destroying this country, and these are bigger issues than I understand that. But there are things that we need to have in the back of our minds when addressing ITIL, because it's 8 years since it was addressed last. What's going to happen the next 8 years is quite tremendous, isn't it?
Well, 10 since version 3 and 8 since. I think it's important. I think you're right. I think it's important that we relate it much more to real life. What people are actually doing. It's not just some abstract IT thing. And I think that message is coming through now more. It's just people really being able to tangibly do something with it.
Like I was saying, being condemned to think about service management in every aspect of life is quite a penance. Whenever you read about the hard border or not we're going to have in Northern Ireland. Now, if we're not going to have a hard border, how the hell are we going to police that border? If we're going to have if the Brexit goes through, how the hell could it be policed?
The amount of IT that's needed for Brexit is going to be. And then we haven't even gone to that yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like less than 18 months to plan. We all know how long it takes to do these projects. So I think, that's the thing I think that is great and you picked up on in the sense that we are much more part of the mainstream in the business than we were.
Yeah, people don't realise just how the world would collapse if it wasn't for service management. We actually keep the world running. You said that earlier, I think. You do, and we do. And you only notice it when it goes wrong, which is a good thing, because you don't notice it all that often.
It's difficult to define it in terms of something negative, but SLAs have always been negative. But I suppose that's the challenge, is to turn it into something positive. So, just finally, what do you think, assuming that there is updated ITIL and all the other new stuff as well, what thing do you think is still missing that would be good to see in another couple of years' time in terms of our industry?
I don't know. Not something, as I say, I sit at home quietly living a retired life. It's not something I've observed what's going on today. I don't maybe think too far ahead about it.
Does it feel that different being here if you haven't been here for 9 years? Put it that way.
No, it doesn't actually. It feels like it was the year before. Nothing seems to have changed dramatically.
There was a joke that Paul Wilkinson put on Twitter. Just saying he'll just dig out his presentation from 10 years ago
and regurgitate it. Yeah.
Are we still talking about the same things?
Yeah, I suppose that's a bad thing in a way, but you could also say it's a good thing, because the fundamentals of service management, the building blocks, are still as relevant today. Despite the gig economy, despite the Brexit, despite Donald Trump being around, despite all these other things, the truism is a truism, and you need to manage change, you need to track things, you need to manage problems, all the basics of ITIL are still as relevant as they always were. So, it's maybe not a terrible thing that some of those basics haven't changed.
And it's a really good message, actually. There's things that are fundamental, and we're more in the mainstream as well.
So I'm hoping the ITIL refresh will stick with those fundamentals, but just bring them up to date and recognise, cloud computing and etc. etc.
Me too.
Very welcome.
Thank you very much, Dave. Good to see you. Enjoy your golf.